What is good, everybody, and welcome back. Sorry I missed last week's upload. It was super busy. I'm trying to hit these weekly. Now today, I want to talk about the pieces of advice that have stuck with me over the years from either coaches or teammates or whatever. And through that, I'll talk a little bit about my background in mountain biking and just a few ideas. And the biggest theme of the video today is don't ever lose track of why you ride your bike. Don't ever forget about the fun. And that has stuck with me for a long time. Now, before we get into the video, though, you got to check this out. There is a crazy squirrel about to just run at me right here.
No. Hiding squirrel. No. Oh my gosh. Poor dude. Thank goodness he was okay.
All right, so I've been riding bikes for over 20 years. I got to start when I was younger, and a few years after just riding for fun with like family and friends, I got into racing. Now, every week we would do this pretty fun, like hour-long ride, big group of, family, friends, and afterwards we'd go to a brewery, grab some food. I had this amazing buffalo chicken wrap. It was the best. But one of the dudes in the group raced during the heyday of mountain biking, like in the 90s and the 2000s when it was just mega. It was so cool back then. And he was a pro, and he always would come with us, and he sat me down the night before he moved away and basically gave this talk on never burn out. Little Dragoon was eating his buffalo chicken wrap going what does that mean? And he's just saying, look, don't forget why you ride. Have a good time and don't lose sight of it. And I had nothing but joy when it came to mountain biking. I couldn't even comprehend or fathom what the heck he was talking about at that time. But fast forward, I race as a junior for 4 or 5 seasons, do decently well, but it was a ton of fun. For 3 years, it was traveling all over the place. Every other weekend, you're out of there riding and racing. I did cross country at the time and Super D. I've said it before, but Super D doesn't exist anymore. It's enduro. I loved Super D so much. I was okay at cross country, but I never had the fitness to really make it happen. But Super D was perfect. They would take these ultra physical downhill courses. They weren't as gnarly as the expert downhill courses, but you'd pretty much go down the sport downhill course. There'd be some climbs, mass start, so much fun. And anyway, I do that. Then I go to college. The year that I go to college, I apply for my pro license. And I get the upgrade. You have to have a certain amount of points at certain races in order for USA Cycling to give you the bump. I got very lucky because the year I applied is the year that they retired the semi-pro category. Super D for the adults, it was always an open category for pro. But for cross country, you had to apply, and it used to be semi-pro was the stepping stone. You'd get these results in semi-pro. They bump you up to pro, right? They got rid of it the year that I applied because there just wasn't that much interest in the West. The racing scene was not what it used to be. And on the one hand, it's cool, I can say I raced in the pro category. But the hard part about it was I got smoked. I went from being mid-pack as a junior to just being at the back of the pack, holding on for dear life. And it was tough. Long story short, trying to balance my grades, train 3 hours a day or whatever, it just didn't work, and I wasn't having fun anymore. I had lost sight of the reason I rode my bike in the first place, because it was fun. And I think that is so applicable to everything, right? In life. Sometimes you can get so mixed up and lost in the sauce that you forget the true soul reason, the purpose of why you did it in the first place. I've always thought about that little piece of advice for years and years, and it is something we should really apply to all of our hobbies and our interests. If you're starting to really miss out on it, do a quick check with yourself. Has the hobby changed? Have you changed? Is it just fitting in your life in a funky way? Let me know. The other element was have fun. I was really lucky, and the junior team that I was on, the coach made every ride super fun. He found silly ways to do pump track challenges, chainless races, track stand competitions, cutties, all this stuff that just was pretty magical. So if you can kind of get rid of the practical and go do something impractical on a few of your trail rides or training rides, it can make it a lot more fun. The stick game is a great example. When you get to a junction and you can go left or right at a trail, throw out a stick, whatever direction it lands, that's where you're going to go. Mix it up, do something different. Even if it's not fast and flowy or super perfect training, breaking up that monotony can keep it just more fun and more enjoyable. The other element that the coach taught us was just drills and training. There's a lot of fun in just riding trails, especially if they're trails you haven't ridden before. I call it like sight reading the trail, kind of like music. There's something super fun about just experiencing a new place and trying to attack a trail while you're trying to understand it at the same time. But being able to session a feature over and over again is just as important. You can do so much training just right out in your street or a driveway or whatever. Learn how to track stand. Learn how to manual. You know, when I was in the juniors, I could manual pretty well, but I never spent enough time to super master that skill. And I know what it takes to get there. Go outside. You practice for a week, pulling that front wheel up, dropping your rear end over and over and over again until you find that balance point, you feather the brake just right, and you nail it. And it's not as fun as going out and doing a sick trail ride. But those skills pay off way more. And so if you can find some little section of trail, session a corner, do something over and over and over again if possible. The last piece of advice actually comes from that same pro racer who told me not to burn out. Another person in our group asked, well, how do you get better at climbing? I really want to improve in that area. And he just straight up said, you go climb. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but it wasn't the answer that the person wanted to hear. They wanted like this complicated training, a route, some trick, some sort of gimmick that made it easier to be better, you know, physically on the climbs. And the ultimate answer is you just got to go train. Is there a method to the madness? 100% there is. Okay, so putting down a good base before you start doing high interval training. That's super important. Nutrition. There's a lot of nuanced things to where you can train better and more efficiently. But at the end of the day, if you want to get better at climbing, go climb more. Same thing. If you want to get better at descending technical stuff, go session technical stuff. You know, this little section of trail I actually showed at the beginning of the video, and it looks so slow on the chest cam for the GoPro. But then you put it on the head and it looks more like the speed of what it feels like. But when you have it on the head, you can't see that like all of these rocks are pretty big and chunky and they bounce you around. I've been specifically trying to session stuff like this because I'm uncomfortable on it. The smooth, flowy stuff, easy peasy, but I want to get better at carrying speed, letting the bike bounce over the rocks, and really taking baby steps on technical things so that later this year I can push myself on even harder features. And so sessioning and doing things over and over again, that repetition makes all the difference in the world. I love riding bikes, and I think this is so cool. I miss racing a ton, and I kind of wish I didn't burn out. Part of me wonders, like, if I had continued to race and maybe did a lighter schedule instead of like a full series, maybe trying to pinpoint a couple of races each year, where I'd be at now. And, you know, the past is the past, no regrets. Maybe if I have a good season this year, next season I can target an enduro race or something and go give it a shot again. The point is, go have fun on your bike. I really appreciate everybody watching. The support on the channel has been crazy. If you enjoyed, drop a subscribe. I said that's super weird. And maybe like the video and throw a comment down below. What is some of the best advice that you've ever heard over the years with mountain biking? Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.